Hi, I'm Larry Menti. Welcome to Jersey Matters. It's a special edition of Jersey Matters because we are not broadcasting in studio, as you've noticed, but instead broadcasting from the district office in Flemington, New Jersey, of Congressman Lance. Sir, thank you so much for inviting us here and for your time. I really appreciate it.
Pleasure to be with you, Larry.
Congressman Lance is a Republican. He is a four-term congressman, and he serves on the powerful Energy and Commerce Committee. But I want to talk, first of all, this is a week for constituent services, and you've had a busy week, I know. Just by following your website, I've seen you've been all over the district.
Yes, we have been all over the district, and for example, we were reading to first graders yesterday. Reading is very important, and we want to make sure that young people recognize how important it is, and I'll be handing out a medal to a veteran later today, and certainly it's an honor to be in the district, and I like to be in the district as often as possible.
And you're going back on Monday, and one of the things that the top of the legislative agenda is going to be President Obama's request for war authority against ISIL. And it was something that when he requested it, a lot of people thought, well, he's going to get that. And now it seems to be up in the air. Where do you stand on it?
I want to examine the president's proposal fully. And I do think that we have to be involved in an effort among other nations as well regarding the tremendous threat in the Middle East, and I think ISIS is a tremendous threat. I personally do not favor boots on the ground because we are war-weary as a nation given our involvement in Iraq and Afghanistan. But I do think we can be involved in an important way with allies, including allies from the Arab region. And other countries have to step up to the plate as well, including, for example, Turkey.
The fight seems to be over the war powers authorization. The fight seems to be in some Republicans want to give him almost unlimited authority, want to give him more authority. Democrats want to put conditions on how long we'll be there and the fact that they do not want to send any troops. They don't want to start another war. Are you between those two?
I would say that I am closer to the position of my own party, the Republican Party. I don't like a time frame because I don't like to give the opposition when we might be involved and when we might not be involved. And the time frame that the president has suggested is 3 years, and so I'm not sure I would put a time frame on our involvement. Now, there are some Republicans who believe that we should have boots on the ground right away, and I'm not sure that's the case. And so Congress will play its constitutional role in this issue, and we're going to have a healthy debate. But I do think we have to be involved because I think ISIS is an existential threat to the Middle East and a not insignificant threat to our own homeland.
I'm glad you brought that up because one of the arguments against it, and I'll get off this topic in a moment, but I think it's important. One of the arguments is that ISIS is not a clear and present danger to us, and so that talking about any kind of war authority is a stretch at this point. Are they a clear and present danger to us?
I think they are a danger to us, and for example, Michael Chertoff, the former Homeland Security Secretary, and he is a person I respect greatly, he has stated publicly that he believes they are a current threat to the United States. And I would phrase it this way, that if not an immediate and direct threat at the moment, they certainly have that potential moving forward.
Boots on the ground off the table for you?
Certainly, I think we should be hesitant given our major involvement in Iraq and Afghanistan. And at this time, I would not like to see boots on the ground.
Just one last question when it comes to ISIS. You had mentioned you wanted to get other forces involved, and there are other forces involved now. The chair of the Joint Chiefs of Staff testified before a Senate committee that he is extremely concerned about Iran's role in this.
Iran is not a new entrant into the crucible of Iraq. They've been there since 2004, and in some cases, their influence, their economic influence, and in other ways, has contributed to the future of Iraq, and in other ways, it has absolutely been disruptive to the inclusiveness or the potential for an inclusive governance. So, I mean, believe me, I share your concerns.
And that if we have them get too involved, especially with Shia troops and Shia influence, moving into Iraq from Iran, and we may be looking at another new non-inclusive government set up by Iran. Do you share that concern? And how do we deal with that?
I do share that concern, and that was a point made in effect by Prime Minister Netanyahu when he addressed Congress recently, and I was privileged to be in the chamber when the Israeli Prime Minister addressed us, and through us, the entire American nation. And so, yes, I think it's a very difficult situation, and we have to be careful, and that is why I rely on the expertise of the American military and of our diplomatic corps. It's not an easy situation, to put it mildly.
But we need them now?
We need to be involved with other nations in the Middle East, and I would cite, for example, Turkey, and certainly from a financial perspective, Saudi Arabia as well, because this is a threat to the world, but in particular it's a threat to that region.
Well, you just picked the next topic. Let's talk about the Benjamin Netanyahu visit. Was it proper?
Yes, I think Speaker Boehner had every right to invite the Israeli Prime Minister to speak before the Congress. The Congress is a separate and co-equal branch of government, and that doesn't mean that President Obama had to meet with the Prime Minister while he was here. But if I had been in the White House or advising the White House, I would have said, we're unable to meet with the Prime Minister on this visit, but certainly we welcome him to the United States, and we look forward to listening to his remarks before a joint meeting of the Congress.
Was it proper for the Senate Republicans to write a letter to the Iranian government telling them that any deal they strike now may not stick around in the future with a future president, and start to meddle with negotiations?
Not all Republicans signed that letter. I believe that perhaps a majority of them did, but not all Republicans signed that letter, and we were not asked to be involved in that letter in the House of Representatives. I would have read the letter very closely before signing it personally. I do hope, however, on the substantive issue, that the administration will negotiate from a position of strength, because I do not want to see Iran's getting a nuclear weapon or the capacity for a nuclear weapon, because I think that would be very destabilizing to the region, and that would mean ultimately that other countries would want to get nuclear weapons as well, and I do not want to see that region further involved in nuclear weapons.
The White House was irate about the letter and said that they skirted their constitutional authority and set a dangerous precedent for the future and future presidents. Do you agree with any of that?
I think this White House is the last place on earth to be discussing skirting of constitutional responsibilities. The president has overstepped his constitutional role in executive orders, and I'm deeply concerned about his overreach. And I think he should be working with the United States Senate, and indeed with all of us in Congress, on international relations. And the Senate has a particularly important role to play because it ratifies treaties. That's not true of us in the House, but I would hope that the White House would reach out to us to a greater extent than has been the case regarding a host of issues, international issues, and also domestic issues as well. And I'm deeply concerned about the fact that the president seems to think that he can amend statutory law simply by an executive order, and of course, that is not how the American Constitution reads.
We stayed overseas, and here we are in New Jersey. So when we come back, we'll get back to New Jersey, and we'll get back to our shores as our conversation with Congressman Leonard Lance continues from his Flemington District office.